The Galactic Council station hovered silently above a quiet blue star. From a distance, it looked like a silver disk floating in the endless blackness of space. Ships from hundreds of worlds came and went, carrying delegates from every species. Each ship bore symbols of their home worlds, flags and banners fluttering in the artificial winds of the docking bays. It was a place where agreements were made, wars were avoided, and rivalries were settled. Humans had always been a part of this council. They were known for their ingenuity, their courage, and their ability to solve impossible problems. On this day, 2 humans arrived to represent their species. Adam Cole, a calm man in his mid-30s, had dark hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see through every lie. He was a diplomat, trained in patience and logic, and he carried the weight of his people's trust in his every step. Beside him walked Nina Porter, a woman known for her keen mind and military insight. Her presence was intimidating to many, though she rarely spoke unless necessary. As they stepped into the council chamber, the air seemed to grow heavier. Every species present paused and watched them. Some looked with curiosity, others with suspicion, and a few with fear. Adam felt it immediately. The council's atmosphere had changed over the years. Once, humans were welcomed warmly, their ideas respected. Now, whispers filled the chamber, and the eyes of alien leaders avoided direct contact. Nina felt it too. Her hand brushed the edge of her uniform, a small, unconscious gesture, as if to remind herself she was ready for anything. The council leader, a tall being with shimmering purple skin and multiple eyes, began to speak. His voice was calm but carried a subtle edge. "Humans," he said, "we appreciate your presence. Your contributions to galactic security have been significant. However, the Council has concerns regarding your recent expansions. We propose new regulations to limit your fleet size, restrict certain technologies, and require tribute for continued trade." A hush fell across the chamber. Adam's jaw tightened slightly. He had expected some tension, but not this. This was different. This was a direct challenge, a demand that humans accept restrictions not for fairness, but out of fear. Nina's eyes narrowed as she studied the council members around the room. She could see the tension in their bodies, the way they avoided her gaze, the subtle signs that they were uneasy with humans' growing power. Adam took a deep breath. He had spent years learning patience, but he also knew when silence was dangerous. "Thank you for your statement," he said calmly. "We will consider your proposal." But he knew there would be no compromise that day. The council had not come to an honest discussion. They had come to control. He could feel it in the way their words twisted around the truth, in the careful selection of phrases meant to sound fair, but carry chains. Nina leaned closer to him, her voice barely above a whisper. "This is a trap, Adam. They want to weaken us. They want us to give up what we've earned." Adam nodded slightly. "I know," he replied. "And we will not. Not today." He turned to face the council again, his posture calm but firm. "If this is the future you desire," he said, his voice carrying across the room with quiet authority, "then humans will walk away from this council. We will not be forced to choose between cooperation and subjugation." The chamber fell into stunned silence. Many species had dealt with humans before, but none had ever rejected the council so directly. Even those who disliked humans had always assumed that diplomacy would be enough to bend them. This was different. Humans were not asking, begging, or threatening. They were simply stating a choice. The council leader's eyes widened slightly, and his voice wavered for the first time. "You would abandon your responsibilities? After all you have done for peace?" Adam's expression remained calm. "We have always contributed out of goodwill, not obligation. If the council cannot respect our rights, then our contribution will end. We will not participate under coercion." Some members whispered to each other, exchanging hurried messages. Others looked as if they were about to stand, but no one dared. The fear was subtle but undeniable. They had misjudged humans for centuries. They had assumed that humans would always negotiate, always bend, always find a way to compromise their own principles. They had been wrong. Nina stepped forward slightly, her presence commanding even more attention than Adam's words. She did not speak, but the calm confidence in her stance sent a message that humans were prepared for any outcome. Every alien in the room sensed the danger, the unspoken readiness that humans brought not through threats, but through certainty. Adam finally turned and walked toward the exit. Nina followed, their steps steady, echoing faintly in the vast chamber. As they passed, whispers spread like wildfire. Delegates murmured to each other, questioning their own assumptions, wondering what humanity might do next. Some felt fear, others felt awe. A few tried to hide it, but it was too late. Humans had spoken, and their words carried weight far beyond the council chamber. Outside, in the docking bay, their ship waited. It was modest in appearance, but strong, capable of long journeys and heavy defense if necessary. Adam and Nina boarded, and Adam sent a short message to Earth. The words were simple. Humans are officially withdrawing from the Council. We will no longer be bound by its rules or its threats. Nina watched him as he typed, her eyes thoughtful. "Do you think they understand what this means?" she asked quietly. Adam leaned back in his chair, his hands folded. "I think they will. Soon enough, they will understand. When humans decide, the galaxy must take notice." As the ship detached from the station and drifted into the darkness of space, the council chamber below was filled with panic. Leaders spoke quickly into their devices, trying to contact distant fleets, sending messages to allies. Rumors spread of human fleets preparing for war, even though none had moved yet. The fear was irrational, but fear was never rational. The Council had underestimated humans for too long, and now they were paying the price. Back on the ship, Adam and Nina did not celebrate. They knew the galaxy would take time to adjust, and that humans would face challenges in isolation. But they also knew the strength of their species. Humanity had grown through struggle, through adversity, and through choices made without fear. Walking away was not a defeat. It was a statement of who they were. They set a course for the outer colonies, worlds that had long relied on human protection. Along the way, Adam monitored the Council's responses. Trade routes were disrupted, and some distant systems were left undefended, prompting small conflicts. The Council had relied on humans to keep balance, and now the balance was gone. Nina stood at the observation deck, watching stars streak past as the ship accelerated. "They thought we would beg, or return immediately," she said. "They did not understand us at all." Adam joined her, his eyes reflecting the light of distant suns. "They still don't, and they will not, until they see what humans can do on our own terms." The silence between them was comfortable. Neither needed to speak more. They both understood the weight of the decision, the responsibility it carried. Humans had walked away, but this was only the beginning. The galaxy would tremble not because humans threatened it, but because humans chose when and how to act. As the ship moved farther from the Council station, Adam sent one final message. Humanity will act when it is needed. Until then, we observe, we prepare, and we grow. The galaxy will remember this day. Nina smiled faintly. "And some will fear it." "Yes," Adam said, "but they will also respect it. Fear is only the first step toward understanding." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, silent witnesses to humanity's choice. They had walked away from the table, leaving the Council to its own devices, and as they drifted further into the void, A quiet truth settled in the minds of every species watching. Humans could not be controlled, could not be caged, and could not be predicted. They were something new, something powerful, and something the galaxy had yet to fully understand. For Adam and Nina, the journey was only beginning. The galaxy might tremble now, but the humans who walked away were calm, prepared, and united. They would act when necessary, but always on their terms, and the Council would remember this day as the moment it had first truly feared the humans it had once called allies. After leaving the Council station, Adam Cole and Nina Porter returned to human space. They moved quietly through the lanes of their home system, where vast cities floated above planets and ships moved like silver schools of fish in the void. Humanity had grown strong, more than most species realized, and now they had a choice to make. They could continue to follow the Council, submitting to its fear and demands, or they could step away and act on their own terms. Adam sent a message to Earth leadership, simple and direct. We are withdrawing from the Council. No negotiations, no compromises. Humanity acts on its own from this day forward. The message was short, but its meaning was clear. Humans would no longer be used as tools for alien politics. They would decide for themselves. Nina walked through the command deck of their flagship, the bright screens reflecting her sharp eyes. "Do you think they will retaliate?" she asked. Adam shook his head. "They are unsure. That is why this works. Humans don't need to strike to show power. We only need to act when it is right, and right now, our power is quiet, observed, not challenged." For weeks, humans remained silent to the galaxy. No fleets left human space. No messages were sent to other species. No explanations were given. Yet every world that had once relied on human support noticed the absence immediately. Trade slowed, defense fleets paused, and conflicts, once kept in check by human intervention, began to flare. On a distant colony in the Varian sector, Governor Lucas Hayes noticed the change first. Ships that once patrolled borders now stayed in the orbit of their own planets. Pirates, sensing weakness, attacked supply convoys. Local governments scrambled to defend themselves. Hayes sent urgent messages to the Council, asking for support. But the Council, already uncertain about humans' departure, could not respond effectively. Their resources were stretched thin, and their fleets were unprepared. Meanwhile, back in human space, Adam and Nina observed everything carefully. They did not intervene yet, but they prepared. Shipyards worked day and night, building new vessels, upgrading older ones. Engineers experimented with faster engines, stronger shields, and new energy weapons. Scientists on distant research stations tested technologies never before shared with other species. Humanity was growing quietly, methodically, and efficiently. Nina visited the shipyards personally. She walked among the engineers, many of them young women and men barely out of training, yet full of skill and determination. "How are the new engines?" she asked. One engineer, a young man named Tyler Quinn, smiled as he wiped sweat from his brow. "Faster than anything the Council has seen, ma'am. We're almost ready for full deployment." Nina nodded. She liked seeing humans work together like this. It reminded her that their strength was not only in weapons or ships, but in their ability to organize, create, and adapt. Adam joined her later, watching a fleet of test ships accelerate past the planet's orbit. "They will notice soon," he said quietly. "The Council will realize that they no longer control the humans, and the galaxy will feel it." Weeks passed. News from other sectors brought reports of confusion and disorder. Pirate attacks grew bolder. Trade routes that once flowed smoothly were disrupted. Worlds that relied on Council guidance struggled to maintain peace. The other species began to panic. They sent fleets to protect themselves, but without human support, these forces were often too slow or poorly coordinated. Adam and Nina studied each report with careful attention. They did not need to act yet. Humanity's absence alone was sending a message. The galaxy, used to human involvement in every major crisis, had become dependent on them. And now, when humans chose not to act, the consequences were immediate. One day, Adam received a direct communication from a council leader, a small green-skinned diplomat named Lauren Vex. Lauren's voice was cautious, almost pleading. "Adam Cole, what are humans planning? Our systems are collapsing without your guidance. Please, reconsider. We need your fleets to maintain order." Adam replied calmly, without anger or haste. "We are not planning anything yet. Humans will act when it is necessary, not when the Council demands it. Observe carefully. Your systems are free to solve your own problems until that time." Lauren hesitated, then spoke again. "You do not understand. Worlds are dying. People are suffering." Adam's voice remained steady. "Do not mistake our silence for weakness. Humans are patient and we act with purpose. Your suffering is a consequence of the choices you made, not of our absence. Learn from it." The council leader went silent after that. Adam hung up, turning to Nina. "They don't like that," he said with a small smile. "They never do," Nina replied. "But they will learn, and we will be ready if they fail completely." As the weeks turned into months, humanity continued its quiet preparation. Colonies expanded, building new cities and research stations. Education programs accelerated. Young pilots trained in new maneuvers, engineers designed ships with technologies the Council had not imagined, and scientists developed weapons that could shift the balance of any battle. All of this was done without aggressive action, without threatening anyone. Humanity was simply becoming stronger, unseen, while the galaxy floundered. On one distant world, a council envoy named Ryal Tevan recorded a message in fear. "Humans. They are gone. Yet we feel their power everywhere. Our fleets struggle, our trade falters, and still humans do nothing. I do not know what to expect. They are unpredictable. They are dangerous." Adam and Nina watched these reports, but they did not respond. They knew that showing strength too early would ruin the lesson. Humanity needed the galaxy to understand one simple truth. Humans were not to be controlled. The Council, and every species, had underestimated them for too long. In human space, life continued normally for the people themselves. Farmers worked in vast hydroponic fields on orbiting stations. Children trained in schools, learning skills that would one day be crucial for defending their worlds. Scientists experimented freely, without interference from the Council. Citizens had no fear, no need to panic. Their leaders acted with confidence, and the society thrived on trust and cooperation. Adam walked through a training field with Nina, watching young pilots practice maneuvers in small fighter ships. "Do you think the Council realizes what we are doing?" Nina asked. "They suspect," Adam replied, "but suspicion is not knowledge. They do not know the scale. They do not know how fast we can move when the time comes. That will be their surprise." As the months passed, reports from across the galaxy grew more urgent. Small skirmishes turned into conflicts. Trade convoys were captured by pirates. Worlds argued over resources once managed by humans. Even species that had disliked humans now began sending desperate messages, pleading for aid. But Adam and Nina remained calm. Humanity's plan was not revenge, it was demonstration. They would show the galaxy that humans were not to be controlled, not by force, not by threats, and not by diplomacy that relied on fear. One day, Adam received a message from Earth's Central Command. "The colonies report unusual activity. Systems that were stable are now in crisis. Do you think it is time to act?" Adam shook his head. "No." Let them feel the consequences of their dependence. Let them understand the value of humans. Our action must be measured, precise, and necessary, not before. Nina, standing beside him, nodded. They will learn soon enough. In the outer systems, fleets once loyal to the Council now paused. They did not know what to do without humans. Some species attempted to fight each other, blaming the chaos on old rivalries, not understanding that the absence of humanity itself was the cause. The galaxy was slowly learning, and the lesson was painful. Meanwhile, human engineers discovered ways to improve communications, navigation, and energy shields that no other species had attempted. Scientists designed new weapons capable of changing the outcome of battles before they even began. Adam and Nina oversaw the operations quietly, without interference, letting humanity prepare in peace while the rest of the galaxy faltered. The Council grew increasingly desperate. Messages poured in daily, pleading for human guidance, asking for military support, offering promises they would not keep. Adam ignored them. He knew that humans acting under pressure would only reveal their power. He wanted them to understand that humanity's strength did not need to be demonstrated through conflict. It existed simply because humans chose to prepare, to grow, and to act on their own terms. As the year drew on, whispers of human withdrawal spread across the stars. Some species began to panic. Some began to secretly prepare for what they believed was an inevitable human return in anger. Others simply watched, afraid to act, unsure if they were seeing the rise of something greater than themselves. Adam and Nina continued their work in silence. Humanity's strength was no longer measured by fleets deployed or battles won, but by the calm, deliberate absence that caused the galaxy to question itself. In this quiet, humans grew stronger in ways the Council had never imagined. And so the galaxy waited. The Council, the rival species, the pirates, and even distant civilizations sensed the change, though none fully understood it. Humans had walked away from the table, leaving the Council scrambling. They had not acted in vengeance, nor in fear, nor in pride. They had simply chosen to act on their own terms, preparing for a future only they could shape. Nina turned to Adam one evening as they watched stars drift past the observation deck. "They will come to us eventually," she said. Adam smiled faintly. "Yes, and when they do, they will understand something very important. Humans are not to be controlled, never, and by no one." The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent witnesses to the quiet growth of a species that had chosen independence. Humanity waited patiently, strong and calm, while the galaxy stumbled, unprepared for the day when humans would act again. That day would come, but it would come on humanity's terms. And the galaxy, unready and trembling in anticipation, would have no choice but to respect it. Months had passed since humanity withdrew from the Council, and the galaxy was in turmoil. Systems that once ran smoothly now struggled to survive. Trade convoys were attacked by pirates, and disputes between worlds escalated into violence. The Council, once confident in its power, now realized it had underestimated humans. Their absence had created a gap no species could fill. The Council sent envoys to humanity begging for help. Messages poured in from distant sectors, some polite, some desperate. They offered promises, wealth, and positions of power, hoping to convince humans to return. But Adam Cole and Nina Porter were not impressed. Humans did not act out of greed, nor fear, nor desire for control. They acted when it was necessary and on their own terms. Adam read one message from a council leader, a blue-scale diplomat named Varnak. His words were almost trembling with urgency. "Humanity, we beg you. Our fleets cannot hold back the chaos. Trade routes are failing. Worlds are in danger. Please return to your duties. We will grant any terms you desire." Adam leaned back in his chair. They are panicking, he said quietly to Nina. But panic does not create solutions. We must act only when the time is right. Nina nodded. They do not understand us at all. They never did. Despite the Council's pleas, humanity remained silent. In human space, life continued as usual. Shipyards worked endlessly to upgrade fleets, research stations tested new technologies, and colonies expanded peacefully. But behind this calm, humans were preparing for the moment when the galaxy would truly need them. Adam and Nina toured the outer colonies, visiting engineers and scientists. In one station orbiting a gas giant, Tyler Quinn, a young engineer, showed them the latest fighter prototypes. "We've improved the engines and shields," he said proudly. "They can move faster than anything the Council has, and the weapon systems are ready." Nina examined the data carefully. "Good," she said. "But make sure the pilots are ready to handle these ships under real combat conditions. Humans are smart, but we must be prepared for anything." Adam spoke to the station's commander, an older woman named Margaret Lane. "How soon can we deploy the fleet if needed?" he asked. "Within a week," Margaret replied. "Our training exercises are complete and all ships are ready for orders." Adam nodded. "Good. Keep training, keep improving. We will act when it matters most, but only then." While humans quietly strengthened themselves, the Council grew desperate. They sent more envoys, offering incredible rewards, threatening sanctions, and even promising to remove the restrictions that had angered humans in the first place. But every offer was met with silence. The Council could not understand that humanity's withdrawal was not about punishment or pride. It was about choice. Humans would act only when they deemed it necessary. One evening, Adam and Nina stood on the observation deck of their flagship, looking out at the stars. "They will try again," Nina said. "They already have," Adam replied, "and they will continue to try. But we are not swayed by their panic or their threats. Humanity acts with purpose. That is what they must understand." Then a new report arrived. A hostile species known as the Orcs, long dormant on the edge of Council space, had begun to move aggressively. Entire fleets were marching through unguarded systems, attacking colonies and outposts. They moved with precision, striking where the Council was weakest. Worlds fell in days, and the Council had no way to stop them without human assistance. Adam studied the report carefully. "This is serious," he said. "If the Orcs reach human space, we will be forced to act. But until then, we observe." Nina frowned. "Observation is good, but we cannot let them grow too strong. We need a plan ready." Adam nodded. "We have a plan. Humanity has prepared for this possibility for months. We are stronger than they expect, and when the time comes, we will act decisively." As the Orcs continued their advance, panic spread throughout Council space. Leaders who had once treated humans as partners now realized their dependence. Without humans, their fleets could not hold. Trade collapsed, and worlds teetered on the edge of chaos. The Council finally sent a direct request to Adam and Nina. "Humanity," the message read, "our systems are in crisis. We beg you to return. Please help us fight the Orcs. We will honor any conditions you demand." Adam turned to Nina. "They are finally beginning to understand the consequences of underestimating us." "They will never admit it," Nina said. "But they will feel it." Adam sent a calm reply. "We will help when it is necessary. Until then, observe carefully. Your mistakes have consequences, and the galaxy is learning them." The Council fell silent. For the first time, they realized that humans were not simply another species to be negotiated with. Humans were different. Humans did not act out of fear, greed, or desire for control. They acted with intelligence, patience, and moral purpose. Meanwhile, humanity prepared quietly. Fleets were positioned strategically across key systems, ready to respond at a moment's notice. Pilots trained daily, learning maneuvers that other species had never seen. Engineers upgraded weapons and shields, ensuring that humanity's fleets were stronger than any council force could match. Scientists developed new technologies that could shift the balance of power in a single battle. Adam and Nina moved among the teams, observing and guiding without interfering. They were calm, confident, and patient. Humanity's strength did not need to be displayed yet, but it was growing steadily and quietly. In one training session, a young pilot named Eric Malone tested a new fighter. The ship performed flawlessly, executing maneuvers that the Council's best ships could not match. "It's perfect," Eric said with excitement. Nina smiled. "Good. Keep practicing. The moment will come when your skills matter more than anything else." Adam spoke to the engineers again. "Every weapon, every shield, every ship must be ready. We cannot afford mistakes. When the Arak or any other threat arrives, we must be precise and strong. Humanity cannot act impulsively, but when we do act, it must be decisive." As the Arak advanced, council worlds began to collapse. Some species tried to fight, but their fleets were disorganized and underpowered. Panic spread across trade routes, and entire star systems were cut off from communication. The Council, desperate, watched helplessly as their authority crumbled. Finally, a council envoy requested a direct meeting with Adam and Nina. They offered wealth, power, and honors, promising to remove all previous restrictions. But Adam and Nina did not accept. They did not need rewards or recognition. Humans acted with purpose, not for gain. Adam's reply was calm but firm. "We will consider helping only when it is necessary and on terms that reflect trust and respect. Your offers are irrelevant. Humanity acts with principle, not for personal gain or political advantage." The envoy hesitated, realizing that humans were not bargaining in the way the council expected. Fear and respect began to mix in their thoughts. They had assumed humans could be persuaded, but now they understood that humans were different. Nina turned to Adam. "They are beginning to understand. Slowly, but they will." "They will," Adam replied, "and when the time comes, humanity will act decisively. Until then, we prepare, we observe, and the galaxy learns patience." Back in human space, fleets continued to train, scientists continued to research, and colonies continued to expand. The absence of humanity from council affairs was felt everywhere, yet humanity itself remained calm, disciplined, and organized. The Arak, unaware of humanity's strength, advanced further into council space. They attacked lightly defended worlds, assuming easy victories. But humans had anticipated this. Ships were ready, fleets were positioned strategically, and plans were in place to respond with precision. Adam and Nina studied every report, every map, and every communication. Humanity's preparation was silent, but unstoppable. The Council and other species were learning a harsh lesson. Humans were not to be controlled, underestimated, or ignored. One evening, Adam looked at Nina. "The Council thought they could bend us with words and threats. They do not understand that humanity does not act out of fear or pride. We act when it is necessary." Nina nodded. "And when we act, they will remember it forever." The stars stretched endlessly before them, silent witnesses to humanity's patience and growing power. For months, humans had observed, trained, and prepared. The galaxy faltered in their absence, chaos spreading across worlds. Yet humanity remained calm, knowing that the moment to act would come, and when it did, it would be on their terms. The Council had learned one truth: humans could not be controlled, persuaded, or intimidated. They were a force that acted with intelligence, purpose, and patience. And when the Arak approached human space, they would see the full extent of humanity's strength for the first time. Adam and Nina stood on the observation deck, watching distant fleets maneuver across the stars. Soon, Adam said quietly, the galaxy will witness what humans can do when we choose to act. Nina smiled faintly. And they will understand that we are not simply another species. We are humanity. The galaxy waited, unprepared and trembling. Humans had withdrawn, but they were not idle. They were growing stronger, planning carefully, and preparing to act decisively. The Council and every species would learn the cost of underestimating humans, and the first step was already near. Humanity's time to act was coming, and when it did, the galaxy would never forget it.